take a quick look at hallmarks and how you can date by hallmarks. And remember, hallmarks is just the purity of a piece, a purity mark. Right on this piece, this is a 1940s. It's unsigned, so I don't know the designer. People call them glass or jewel bellies, and it's just hallmarked sterling. And here's another 1940s fur clip, and it has the designer on there, or the maker's mark, and it's marked sterling. Here's a little tiny piece with little marcasites on there. It's sterling as well, but it says 925, and 925 is a purity mark used later than sterling. So when we see sterling, we know it's usually older than the pieces that say 925. Here's a few more examples. The top bar pin looks to be Art Deco, and the bottom looks to be Victorian. And we can see that from looking at it. However, when we turn them over, the bar pin is actually marked 925. So when it's marked 925, it usually indicates that is not going to be antique. And this one actually has UK hallmarks on there, and it also has a maker's mark on there. And you can look those up and date them, and here are some great websites to help you do that easily. Colors and motifs or designs are very important when trying to date and identify a piece of vintage jewelry. This is because major events shape our style, and by looking at those events and trends, we can determine an approximate age for our jewelry. In 1929, the Great Depression hit, and that means the fashion industry was hit as well. The jewelry of the 1930s had this great gaudiness to them. It was whimsical and flashy, and a lot of it was modeled off the silver screen stars and also the fine jewelry of the day. This is what I feel is like the birth of costume jewelry. Yes, it was made before the 30s, but it really began to take its place in history in the Great Depression. It's because imitation jewels were being made, plastics, non-precious metals, and all of this was to make the jewelry cheaper and more affordable, and that's how the industry stayed afloat during the Great Depression. Here's the famous Cartier Tutti Frutti carved gem bracelet from India, which inspired the fruit salad or Tutti Frutti jewels in the 30s being made with plastic. And here's a Dejay fruit salad basket, and you can see the carved flowers on there. That was also made from lucite. A lot of people call this fruit salad or a Tutti Frutti brooch because of all the different colors. However, it is not. Just in the 1930s, they used a lot of different bright colors and this pot metal as well. And I'll go more into that during the materials and construction video. Although World War II started in 1939, the U.S. didn't enter it until 1942 after Pearl Harbor. The fun, whimsical jewelry of the decade before became more patriotic with sailors, flags, eagles. They did a lot of lions for the UK, V's for victory, all things red, white, and blue. And through my research and collecting throughout the years, I found that Trifari and Brooches are some of the most prolific designers of this patriotic jewelry. Don't get me wrong, almost everybody did it, but I found that they've had quite a few more pieces than everybody else. So when we see this very patriotic jewelry like this, chances are it's from the beginning of the 1940s. Here's an early 1940s Coro piece with that thick script Coro mark on there. And of course this is an American Eagle, a patriotic piece. And there was also a lot of sweetheart jewelry, so it's very patriotic as well. But this would be worn by someone whose husband, boyfriend, brother, son was in the military and at war at that time. Here's a Bakelite soldier from the 1940s with that patriotic theme as well. It would be crazy to go through designs and not talk about one of the most iconic pieces of costume jewelry and some of the most sought after, which is jelly bellies. These jelly bellies are actually lucite cabochons, and they're very large chunks, and they were meant to resemble polished rock crystal. They were first done and patented by Trifari, and then all the others followed. However, Coro and Trifari were the ones who made most of them, and their designs were just elegant, usually done in sterling with just regular clear rhinestones. However, some of the most sought after and more rare pieces, some would say like the Holy Grail, is the ones with colored stones, like this one from Fred Block. Another design or motif through the 40s that was sort of odd was fruits and vegetables. They were just starting to be used a whole lot. And somebody like this woman probably had a lot to do with it, who's Carmen Miranda. Here is a Carmen Miranda set that was designed specifically for her. And she wore lots of fruit baskets and lots of rich colors through all of her stuff. And like I said before, silver screen really started helping identify what the styles were. So that helped. But also there was lots of different carved pieces, and also the Tutti Frutti or fruit salads that Cartier inspired was so huge it carried over into the 40s as well. In 1949, Western and Eastern Germany were created, and we began to see lots of Western Germany jewelry coming in, and they had a very specific, I feel like, sort of design or aesthetic with this cutout filigree, usually dotted with faux pearls, with lots of striated and mottled glass. And of course, there was different pieces as well that they made. However, this was a big design. Here's a piece from my collection. As you can see, it has that striated glass cabochon in the center. It has that cutout filigree aesthetic with faux pearls, and this one has green rhinestones in it, and it's also nice and layered, so I think it has a really great feel and look to it. And you can see here the back has the cutout, and you can see the layers a little bit more. One of the more exciting things that happened during the 1950s was the space race, and it dominated popular culture. It just entered everybody's imaginations. It was the final frontier, as they say, and everybody was into this. So, of course, it's going to infiltrate fashion as well. We start going into a little bit more of a muted or pastel color palette, and our jewelry starts becoming the starburst, Sputnik, Galaxy, just all these big chunky colors, because now we're seeing all of this, and it's in our imaginations, it's in the movies, and it was just such a huge trend and aesthetic through this time period. You can see the wonderful pointy angles that swoop in like stars from a lot of this jewelry. This is a Judy Lee piece from the 1950s. It's layered and has that starburst effect as well. Everybody did it. It wasn't just a few people, it was everyone. And something else that came about with the colors, like I said a little earlier, is they became a little bit more pastel. But one of the more important things that happened during this time period was AB rhinestones were invented, or Aurora Borealis. So Swarovski started experimented with coating their crystals and came up with this beautiful technique that imitated the northern lights, so all those different colors, and that's why it's called the Aurora Borealis. Here's a beautiful pastel blue piece that has moon glow stones and also AB surrounding it. So it's just another gorgeous example of the AB and kind of the color trend in the 50s. It's important in dating brooches with this AB rhinestone because they were created in 55. Here is one I just found on eBay not too long ago, and it says it's from the 1920s. And somebody might really think it is from the 1920s, but we can clearly see the AB stones in this brooch and know that it's at least 55. A little bit extra of inventory numbers from the Brooches jewelry. Right here at the end, some of us wonder what those letters are. They're from the sets, and they would do a P for pin or E for earrings. And when you see those letters, now you'll know what they mean. And also here we can see this is 8668, and we can see that the number falls in between 62 and 65.